Let's kick this off with a car that broke the rules, then vanished. The year is 1953. While the world obsesses over the Chevrolet Corvette and the Mercedes 300 SL, a strange, little-known machine is quietly born in the suburbs of Paris. It doesn't roar, it hums, it doesn't cruise like a jet, it floats like a feather. This car had no grille, no doors, a motorcycle engine, and a body that looked like it was styled by a confused submarine engineer. And yet, the 1953 Ardex wasn't just another microcar. It was a whispered threat to the future of European cars. And when you learn what it was hiding under its fiberglass skin, you'll understand why some think this forgotten vehicle was deliberately buried by those in power. So before we open the vault on this automotive mystery, smash that subscribe button like you're smashing a baguette that disrespected your grandmother. This story is about to get wild. To understand how this car even existed, we need to talk about Ardex, a name most car enthusiasts haven't heard unless they've spent time snooping through dusty French archives or obscure car museums. Ardex, short for Automobiles René Delacroix, was founded in 1934 by a man named Marcel Tamine, who had one obsession: build practical, minimalist cars for the masses. But while other manufacturers courted luxury and horsepower, Ardex worked out of a humble shop in Nanterre, Paris, tinkering with small engines and DIY design philosophies. Their vehicles were cheap, light, and bizarrely efficient. Think of it as the French version of early Lotus, but even more underground. But here's where things get interesting. Ardex managed to survive W2 by making ultra-basic cars that didn't rely heavily on gasoline, which was scarce at the time. That's right, they were already preparing for a fuel crisis, decades before anyone else cared. By 1953, Ardex released their most advanced and final production vehicle, and this one, it would spark more controversy than any other car in their short history. But wait until you hear how it looked. If you saw the 1953 Ardex parked next to a Citroën DS or a Renault 4 CV, you'd think someone was playing a prank. This car looked like it had rolled off a cartoon set, or possibly out of an alien landing pod. The car sat on just 3 wheels, one in front, 2 in the back, giving it a teardrop profile. It had no front grille, since it didn't need one, and a smooth, fiberglass aluminum hybrid body. And here's a curveball. No doors. That's right. You entered the vehicle by swinging your leg over the side as if you were mounting a moped or a vintage bathtub. Windshield wipers, optional. Side mirrors, who needs them? Interior comfort. Well, let's just say, if you were taller than 5'9", this car was not your friend. And yet, this radical design made it incredibly aerodynamic for its time, with a drag coefficient many modern microcars would still envy. So why build it this way? It wasn't just about being different. It had everything to do with French tax loopholes. And what was hiding under the hood? Or should I say, under the hump? We're about to talk horsepower, but not the kind you're used to. The Ardex wasn't powered by a roaring V8 or even a modest 4-cylinder. Nope. Instead, it had the heart of a motorcycle. The Idril 125cc single-cylinder 2-stroke engine producing 4.5 horsepower. Now, before you start laughing, remember, the entire car weighed less than 290 kilograms, 640 pounds. That's lighter than some riding lawnmowers. The engine was mounted in the rear, driving the single front wheel via a belt drive system. A quirky setup, but surprisingly effective for city driving. It could hit a top speed of 60 kilometers per h, 37 miles per hour, which might not sound like much, but back in 1953 Paris traffic, that was enough to feel like a rebel on wheels. And it got even better. The fuel consumption was insanely low. You could squeeze out nearly 3 litres per 100 kilometers, which would make modern hybrids jealous. But there was something else. Something buried deep in this design that hinted Ardex wasn't just trying to make a weird little city car. They were experimenting with ideas decades ahead of their time. We'll get to that, but first, who was actually buying these things? The Ardex wasn't marketed through big flashy campaigns or dealership networks. In fact, most French citizens had no idea it even existed. That's because the car was targeted at a very specific audience, post-war working-class Parisians, especially those who didn't yet have a full driver's license. You see, due to its classification as a voiturette, light quadricycle, the Ardex could be driven with minimal paperwork, no formal driving test, and much lower taxes. For folks trying to commute without breaking the bank, this was gold. Some were bought by university students, some by aging war veterans. A few were even used as light delivery vehicles in tight urban areas. But then something strange happened. By late 1954, production just stopped. No announcement, no press release, no successor model. That's when the rumours began. Rumours of government pressure, automotive sabotage, and something that would make even Tesla look like it's playing catch-up. You're not ready for this. Ardex began developing an electric prototype in the early 1950s. Yes, decades before General Motors released the EV1, and long before Elon Musk was building rockets out of boredom, Ardex engineers quietly experimented with lead-acid battery technology. The electric prototype was based on the same lightweight fiberglass body, but with a 12-volt battery array powering a small hub motor. Top speed, about 30 kilometers per h, 18 miles per hour. Range, roughly 40 kilometers, which, for a tiny inner-city car in the 1950s, was mind-blowing. But the world wasn't ready. Gasoline was cheap, infrastructure for charging non-existent, and batteries back then were heavy, slow to recharge, and degraded fast. Still, the mere fact that Ardex was playing with electric mobility back then shows how far ahead of its time they were. And this may have made them a threat, because right around this time, something suspicious occurred that sealed the company's fate. To this day, no one knows exactly why Ardex went under. Some believe it was simply lack of money. Others say the larger French automakers lobbied the government to enforce tighter road and vehicle regulations, effectively shutting out niche brands like Ardex. But here's a twist. In 1955, a former Ardex engineer gave an anonymous interview to a Parisian newspaper. He claimed the company had patents and blueprints for advanced fuel-saving technologies, things like variable compression systems and hybrid drivetrain concepts that mysteriously vanished when the company folded. Were these confiscated, bought up quietly, or just lost to time? No one knows. But what we do know is this: just 5 or 6 original Ardex 1953 models are known to still exist. And those few remaining examples, they're now highly sought after by collectors, restoration freaks and microcar fanatics. And one of them, it had a hidden compartment under the driver's seat containing something we'll be covering in an upcoming deep dive. Stay tuned. So what can we learn from the strange, beautiful oddity that was the 1953 Ardex? It may not have had raw power. It wasn't famous, it didn't win races, but it dared to challenge an entire system. It dared to rethink what a car could be. Smaller, lighter, cleaner and smarter, it stood for innovation, independence, and yes, a little bit of French rebellion. And though Ardex vanished into the mist of history, its legacy whispers from the garages and barns where those last few survivors sit, waiting to be rediscovered. If you enjoyed this dive into one of history's most mysterious microcars, do your part and smash that like button like you're shifting into second gear with a baguette in one hand and a beret in the other. And if you haven't already, subscribe to Abri Tech Lab for more automotive legends, forgotten prototypes and incredible machines the world forgot. Catch you next time.